Situation for the Bahamas. The other thing to look at, already starting to see some of these rain bands stretch into Florida, getting some reports to 40 to 50 mile an hour gusts in some of those rain bands. That's Lake Okeechobee right there. That's the Florida coast. So starting to see some of these rain bands already. So that's one thing to note. A lot of wind in those rain bands. Here's something else. You know, we talk about away from the storm. How many times we talk about, you know, the impacts well away from the storm, Dennis. But look at some of this rain associated with the hurricane over the Keys. And we're going to have to really watch these type of areas because notice it doesn't move much. So places going to get prolonged amounts of rainfall. So as we eventually move this storm to the north, we'll have to really watch for some. As we eventually move this storm to the north, we'll have to really watch for some. As we eventually move this storm to the north, we'll have to really watch for. As we eventually move this storm to the north, we'll have to really watch for.
Hurricane Hermine right before it made landfall Thursday evening in Florida. You know what you're seeing there in the middle of the eye here? This is the eye of the storm where it's pretty quiet, so you wouldn't expect there's going to be any rain there. This is actually birds. Yeah, birds actually showed up in the middle of this hurricane, as they often do. We saw this with Hurricane Arthur a couple years ago. This is a product that shows you how similarly shaped everything is, where you see the red colors. You got a lot of similar things flying around like rain. All this blue stuff here is, you know, a mixture of birds, maybe some feathers flying around. This product shows you what shape things are, okay? And basically when you see these kind of higher colors here, like the purples and the whites, that's when things are more hamburger shaped rather than, you know, vertically shaped. So think about how birds fly, right? So they would appear more hamburger shaped to the radar. That's why they're showing up like that in there. Very, very interesting stuff.
Well, we have these earthquakes. The birds, we can get it. So what I want to do here, I'm checking radar here the last couple of hours.
We're not using chemicals fired through rockets like other technologies use. We use a very gentle but powerful technology, launching electromagnetics into the atmosphere to modify the flow of the weather system over the ocean and drawing it into a target. So to try and keep it simple, we establish some kind of link with a weather system, and once we've seen through satellite meteorology that we have that link, we're able to draw that system in incrementally towards the target, such as in this case the Horn of Africa.
Mahindra, you call this project the Global Rain Project. Why the Global Rain Project?
Well, let me just step back. Ever since the beginning of civilization, mankind has diverted rivers on Earth to wherever we wanted to practice agriculture. Now we look at the atmosphere. The oceanic, 90% of the rain, more than 90% of the rain falls on the ocean. It's only about less than 5% on Earth. So the 90% that is above the oceans, these are fundamentally atmospheric rivers. And just the way we harvested rivers on Earth, we should be harvesting now with new technology the rivers above the oceans and moving them to a target area. Now why is it global? Global because climate is changing. We see the floods that are on, the droughts that are on. So weather is being modified by human activities and by natural phenomena. And today we have developed the technology, and I'm convinced that in 30 years we will be able to confront climate change with technology with which we can modify weather patterns. It's weather modification, because climate change has two elements. It gets hotter temperature and the precipitation changes. So moisture patterns change. Now imagine when we get rain, temperature goes down. So when you think of climate change, which is hotter areas, and that's the challenge we have in sub-Saharan Africa, that it will get hotter. Many areas that produce crops will not be viable. So it is a global phenomena which requires global action, and that is why we are committed to put this in the humanitarian arena to begin with. And it should be governed and utilized at the global level by the global community.
Now responding to reports that one of their reporters was essentially faking it during his coverage of Hurricane Florence.
Probably seen the video on Facebook as that reporter struggles to keep his balance.
Okay, picking stand up here in Wilmington, North Carolina, right at the Intracoastal, and we're in one of these bands. This is about a...
So that's Mike Seidel in Wilmington, North Carolina, but as he braces and fights the wind Friday, check out the two guys who seem to walk right by him in the background there with no trouble at all. The video has been shared more than 1 million times on social media. So now a spokesperson for the Weather Channel is defending Seidel, saying it's important to note that the two individuals in the background are walking on concrete while Seidel tries to maintain his footing on wet grass. The spokesperson goes on to say Seidel was exhausted after reporting on air until 1 a.m.
In terms of chaff, anyway, that's something that I experienced for the first time yesterday. That was a whole lot of fun. And that's where the military just basically dumps some of the tiny particles of plastic or metal mylar into the atmosphere. Basically, they do this when we do already have weather in the area, because it's been around since as long as radar has been around, because that's the shot from yesterday's 6 o'clock show. What they do is try to confuse ground-based Doppler radar systems, and as Mark put it so kindly, ground-based meteorologists. And yes, ladies and gentlemen of the armed forces, it worked well.
You should be totally concerned after watching those clips, if not disturbed, like myself. Now, we're looking at the Next Gen Labs radar here. This is not CGI, you know, this is the actual radar, and you're actually able to see the searchlight mode beams out of the NEXRAD locations. This is just a loop, and as you watch this, pay attention closely after hearing the quotes I've quoted here in this video from these weathermen and these meteorologists. Pay attention to when searchlight mode shoots into a small storm. Watch the growth. Down there in Texas, the big searchlight lightsaber down there you see Florida getting the rain bands of Dorian beamed straight in, like InTruthByGrace stated and showed, which go to the description, go to her video and watch her video. She breaks it down, does a great job again, just like she did with Michael. So anyways, look at the searchlight mode beaming into these storms, and then suddenly they grow or suddenly they stop. You know, they're able to do multiple things here with these NEXRAD Doppler technologies, these radars. But hopefully you see what I'm saying, and hopefully you understand why I put these collection of clips together. Much love.